Hello and welcome to the Sports Desk on SYN 90.7 FM. You are here with Lucy,
Ben,
Dan, and Sam.
and we have a big show of sport to cover this today. Why am I saying this week? Today. So we have the upcoming test tomorrow in India. Southern Stars have drawn the Rose Bowl series against New Zealand. The Big Blue in the A-League is obviously tonight.
Sam will be all around that way,
yeah?
Yeah,
Sam
that's
will
my
get
only
us
contribution.
around. Get us all in. We have the AFLW series continues this week. The National Basketball League Grand Final series is underway. The Matildas have been playing, and there's Super Netball this week.
There's just too much sport on.
Just too much.
it's almost like we live in a sports-mad country.
Oh my God, I know.
Sporting capital of the world, Melbourne.
Yeah, Melbourne. That's Melbourne. But we're going to open things up with the second test in India tomorrow. There's been a lot of talk about changing conditions.
Yeah, certainly doctoring pitches has been on the agenda, and the first test really was meant to favour India, and it didn't at all. It actually favoured what Virat Kohli refers to as a part-time spinner, Steve O'Keefe.
I believe he made less runs than Stark did in one innings for the whole test.
Yeah,
so
I think that's right.
Bit of an interesting call.
Especially considering he left a straight break from Steve O'Keefe that counted into his leg stump.
That was honestly embarrassing
Glenn
for Virat Kohli.
Maxwell-esque.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that the pitch in Pune.
Pune.
I was right the first time. It's been rated poor by the match referee Chris Broad, who's Stuart Broad's dad, who's another very popular man amongst Aussies. But it was being rated poor, so
They're gonna get a fine.
yeah.
But this pitch, the
In
upcoming
Bangalore,
pitch,
yeah.
they're saying that it favours the spinners, favours pace bowlers, also favours the batsmen. So I don't know.
I don't know.
It
It must be the perfect pitch. Like,
Have they discovered how to make the ideal pitch?
after having just tried last week to make the world's worst pitch, they've shown how
succeeded.
good they
I was
can
going to
be.
say the dust coming off the pitch in
they got it
Pune
off
was
Mars, didn't they?
ridiculous, but I think it'll be interesting to have a pitch that they say is going to favour the fast bowlers, and
Well,
they're talking
yeah.
reverse swing.
Ooh.
That's-
I'll tell you what,
it's a can of
Mitchell
worms, that-
Stark bowling a Yorker reverse
Oh,
swinging.
Yeah, or as much Yadav as well. We could be in a
He
lot
actually
of
bowled pretty well.
He got a bit of reverse actually in the first test, but the curator for the Bangalore pitch has said that he doesn't want a 2-day test match like what we had pretty much last time around.
We just want to completely favour the home side.
Yeah.
That's what you want. You want an even contest, don't you?
Not going to lie, there has been the pessimists of the sporting world saying that some bookmakers made a lot of money off that first test, which you obviously never want to believe. And
Yeah,
we're going to
of
be
course.
coming into betting scandals later in the sports desk. But I hope to God that is not true.
To be fair, I assume someone made a lot of money off
I know,
Yeah.
that's what my dad said.
Australia were at pretty long odds to win
Yeah.
that test. So.
Yeah, someone would have been making someone would have put some money on Steve O'Keefe to take 12, surely.
Surely they would
Do we
got a
think
bit of
Steve
market.
O'Keefe will have another resurgence in this test?
No.
No.
I think it was very much
A
very
wonder.
like
Bit of a
one-
Jason Frazier.
Yeah,
12 wickets in his first test.
250. Yeah,
I don't think he was a one-hit wonder. I do think
there is
he-
a bit of
Yeah,
there is
maybe not
talent
one-hit
there.
there's
wonder,
talent
but-
there, and he's got the form in first class. I just think he had the right style to bowl on that pitch.
And a pitch that was really it was already favouring him day one.
And
it
I
was
was-
already a spinner's pitch day one. Yeah.
And I also think it's a bit of arrogance from the Indians. I mean,
Yeah, they were a lot of his wickets were
Poor
skied
shots.
up in the air
Yeah.
and just.
I mean,
Yeah.
from
Wasted
Virat
wickets.
Kohli to come out and say that he's a part-time spinner when he took 12 wickets kind of indicates that maybe they didn't respect Australia enough. And I think
watching the way that Kohli went out as well, especially in the second innings, trying to impose himself. Second ball, he swings far outside off stump. I mean, if he hits it through the covers for 4, then you can understand what he's done. But to make that sort of mistake when your team's in trouble shows a bit too, almost a bit of arrogance. I think to be that confident that early when your team's not in a great
Speaking
position.
of confidence, I have very little confidence in Mitch Marsh. What are our thoughts on him, guys?
He just-
Yeah.
What is there's silence in the studio because I don't think we can actually we're trying to reflect the way he plays. I can't think of anything he did.
Redeeming
in the first
feature.
test.
I think
Yeah.
you've made a mistake in saying that he plays. I think he just turns up, stands around, wanders out to the crease, happens to be in his pads, and does nothing.
It's almost like
He did hit a 30 odd, but I mean, when Stark is batting at 8 and he has a better average than Mitch Marsh, you got to wonder. Surely he's. You know,
But I mean, the other thing
Something
is that
like-
he's the third paceman in a country that doesn't really
you don't need a. Yeah.
doesn't really reward playing a third pace. It's not like Australia. We could be playing, we say Maxwell. We're not sure how tight he is and whether he's actually test standard. Maybe he could play Agar or
think
someone like that.
Mitch Marsh needs to decide what his place in the team is. Like, it seems that he just can't really decide whether or not he wants to be the batsman, the bowler,
Or the waterman.
the waterman,
I prefer
or
if he
the
was.
all-rounder.
Better bring the water.
Because, I mean, like, you see him in Big Bash. To be fair, in Big Bash, he does hit bombs. He
Yeah.
hits bombs, and then he can
In
bowl
ODIs as
140.
well.
And in
Yeah.
ODIs, and he can bowl at 140. But just being able to hit bombs or bowl fast doesn't make you a test player. And I think we're seeing that very much with him at the moment.
Yeah, definitely.
I
He's
think-
been given a lot of chances as well, so
Yeah, he has.
how many is one too many?
Unfortunately, I think if the pitch is favouring seamers, he'll keep his spot because
yeah.
they'll want that third option. And
And spin specialist Sean Marsh was included, and he didn't really do too well on the spinner's deck.
Yeah, to be fair, it was a pretty hard pitch to play on. I mean,
Yeah.
no one really made, apart from Steve Smith's pretty
And
amazing
Made
100.
more than India's second
Yeah.
innings.
to be fair, Smith had about 5 chances.
Yeah,
He was
did.
dropped a couple of
I
times.
think Renshaw played well. I think
Yeah,
Renshaw was very...
I think Renshaw sort of silenced the critics in terms of people were saying, "Oh, maybe Marsh should have been opening."
yeah,
And
I think so, yeah.
I just think you've got to stick Renshaw up the top.
Yeah.
He's a talent, and we've kind of got to stop looking at the short term for Australian cricket.
I
I mean,
think so, yeah.
you can't just keep going, "Oh, we're just going to stopgap this, stopgap that." Renshaw is a career player. He will play a lot of tests for Australia if they manage to sit on their fingers and not fiddle with the lineup.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I think if I was Steve Smith or selecting, I would be pretty happy with the order that we had for the first test. I don't really see the need to change anything.
Yeah,
I don't think
you can't change a winning formula, can you?
No, but I mean,
Yeah.
like when we were winning back in the day, when we were winning tests all the time, we very rarely changed our batting lineup.
Yeah.
And it recently seems to be that we want to change something different every test. I don't think we need to do that. I think the batting lineup we have is actually pretty good.
The only change I'd probably look to make is Usman Khawaja. I think it was a little bit, hard done by. He was had a brilliant summer. I think he made a 50 in every test. I think that was some stat that came out.
Yeah.
And didn't play because he apparently can't play the spinners, and Sean Marsh was picked for that reason. I'd almost I'd almost like to see Sean Marsh in at it's not Usman Khawaja in at 3, and Sean Marsh going into that middle order and just
Maybe at 6 for his brother.
and not having Mitch Marsh and having Sean Marsh. in there.
That's what
Yeah.
I completely agree with that. I think
so, yeah.
I think Australia's bowlers can handle the workload because you've got Lyon, you've got O'Keefe, you've got Stark and Hazelwood, and you can always chuck the ball to Smith if you.
Yeah.
I mean,
Or like Renshaw.
Warner.
Wade coming in at 1:30.
Oh, yeah, he does.
Chuck a handscomb behind the stump. But I think
Yeah, I agree with you there. I don't think there's really a need for... Well, maybe we could play another spinner, but I don't really think... it looks a bit questionable when you have someone like Mitch Marsh in the team and you have someone with the quality of Khawaja who has to run the drinks.
yeah. I agree, and I think an extra batting option will become more. The need will become more apparent as the series goes on, because if Australia has to chase a 400, they'll need a Khawaja rather than a Marsh.
Definitely.
Whereas we just got lucky in this test to an extent, bowling them out so cheaply.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing we do have to remember though, is that the first test we played well, but we were lucky.
Yeah.
Mm.
And
India, Tendulkar's come out and said that India will definitely come back fighting.
Yeah.
I think it was a bit of a shock to their system to have Australia come out and play
well,
so well, but I think India also showed a lot of arrogance.
Yeah.
So and because of that arrogance, they'll want to come out strong against Australia in this
And
test.
that was the first test they'd lost in 20 home tests. I think it was
Yeah.
17 wins, 3
and the
draws.
first loss to Australia since 2004.
2004 when we won,
something
yeah.
like that. So I think you're right, Lucy. It was just a bit of a shock to the system, and you'll see them come back a lot stronger. I
Yeah.
think, and I think they'll
Yeah.
play with a lot more respect.
I'm predicting India to win in probably 5 days. Like if they
Yeah.
bat first, they're going to make runs, and then they'll probably dismiss us cheaply on the
Yeah.
5th day when we need 400 to win.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I agree with that. And with other successes for Australia in the cricket, Southern Stars have drawn their series with New Zealand 1-1. The win was yesterday in New Zealand. Australia was cruising with their run chase. They were 1 for 109 before skipper Meg Lanning went out on 44. She was at a runner ball, so she went out 44 off 43 balls. Then Elise Villani fell for a first ball duck. So teenager, teenager Amelia Kerr, for New Zealand was on a hat-trick ball. Alex Blackwell, vice-captain of Southern Stars, came in, denied her the hat-trick ball, and scored a match-winning 65 to steer Southern Stars home. So it was pretty good performance by the Southern Stars to claim back that victory after 3 losses to New Zealand, if you include those two T20s.
They were a little bit poor in Australia. I mean, and one game was affected by rain, but it's good to get a draw, at least a draw on away soil. That's
exactly.
what you can ask for.
And to make it a decider on Sundays makes it pretty exciting for the girls as well. So it'll be interesting to see how the girls go on Sunday. So it's the last game of the Rose Bowl series in New Zealand. So hopefully the girls can get up. And it's good that it's on a Sunday because Amelia Kerr for New Zealand had to skip school yesterday to play. So
that's nuts.
That's crazy.
How crazy is that? There was someone
I
at the
saw
game,
that
the
sign.
sign. It was like, Amelia, I skipped school too to come and watch. And it was just, so that's good that it's on a Sunday. But, going to school on Monday she might be a bit tired.
I wish I was playing cricket for Australia at 16.
Yeah.
I wish I was just
play
playing
cricket
for
at
like
16.
anyone, full stop.
Yeah, true.
Who's your tip, Lucy?
Tip, I think Southern Stars. Think Meg Lanning is hungry. She wants to lead the team to another series win, especially with the World Cup coming up. I think they've consolidated a lot. So if Blackwell, Lanning, Villani, Healy all score runs, especially with the added bonus of Perry back on the side, then I think we'll be pretty unstoppable on Sunday, even in the away conditions. So I think this Rose Bowl will be ours. So, good times for Australian women's cricket. Let's go to a song, Ben.
That we will. What should I play? This is Gang of Youths with Strange Diseases, and you're listening to the Sports Desk on SYN 90.7 FM.
And this is the Sports Desk on SYN 90.7 FM. Welcome back, and that was Strange Diseases by Gang of Youths. Now, back into my favourite part of the Sports Desk, which is the AFL Women's.
Speaking of a gang of youths.
But, AFL Women's continues on this weekend. We've officially gone past the halfway mark, which both is very exciting but also very upsetting for me because it means that there's not going to be much for me to live for in a few weeks' time. I'm kidding.
She's not
kidding.
She's not kidding.
No, she really
And she's also, can't watch her favourite Blues.
What do you mean?
No, you can't watch your favourite Blues after.
Oh, after, because they'll only be the men's team, and who wants to watch that?
After round 7.
After round 7, yeah. Well, hopefully if they get into the grand final, I was going to go somewhere about the grand final then, but I was like, no.
Don't want to get too carried away.
Don't want to get too carried away.
Settle.
No, but long story short, my little sister's 21st is on the day of the grand final.
Wow.
So I couldn't even go.
Well, who do you like more?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
She's going to have a birthday next year.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's not a 21st.
It'll be a 22nd.
Yeah, exactly.
One better. Even better.
Or a 22nd.
Anyway, let's get back on track. Round 4 just happened on the weekend. Big round. No upsets, I don't think.
Well, Collingwood over Bulldogs.
Oh,
I
that's
reckon
actually a
was
good
bit
point.
upset.
Yeah, Collingwood over Bulldogs. First win of the round for them. Brisbane came out on top once again.
5-goal
Adelaide came
win.
out on top
Drubbing.
I think
again.
it just reinforced what we thought, what we're finally trying to work out about the league after a couple of weeks.
Yeah, exactly. It was really hard for a couple of weeks. We were saying, and we keep saying game of the round, game of the round, game of the year, with top teams. But now this weekend coming up, Adelaide Brisbane just looms as one of the biggest games of the year.
Yeah.
This could be the grand final.
Yeah, this could be like the grand final before the grand final preview.
Yeah, because this would be, if I'm not sure on this ruling, if the team that finishes top, it's their home ground, yeah?
Home
think
ground,
so,
yeah.
yeah.
So
They
they've been
all
talking
think
about it, yeah.
This could be to decide home ground
the home,
advantage.
yeah, who plays
Absolutely.
this grand final, yeah. So they said Adelaide Oval for Adelaide if they finish top, and the Gabba for
Okay, well,
Brisbane if
I'll
they
get
finish
more.
top.
I'll get a bigger crowd than they do for most Brisbane games, right, Sam?
Probably.
That's
yeah.
not even a joke. It's just fact.
Yeah, Sam's just like, yeah. What's your
but
point?
They did have
What's
a
your
big win last night though in the AFL. That is true.
Yeah, well, we'll
Yeah.
get to the JLT in a second, but that was a little glimmer of hope. I haven't seen a Brisbane loss, actually, this year. How good is that?
Yeah, that's pretty good,
I haven't
yeah.
seen a Brisbane loss yet. But,
But keeping to round 4, let's hear your boys' votes. To recap, if you didn't catch the sports desk on Monday, I gave my votes to 3 for Emma Zilke, captain of Brisbane. She's been playing very well and did an awesome job as captain on the weekend. 2 for Abby Holmes from Adelaide, kicked 2 goals in their final quarter and also was just generally very pumped up and really rallied the girls for that win. And I gave 1 vote to Daisy Pearce, who was arguably the best of the weekend, but we've all kind of decided that we have to stop giving 3 votes to her because otherwise she's going to win by like 50 points.
I don't think any of
I
us-
missed this memo.
I missed the I think I missed the memo as well.
But yeah, so what did you vote for, Dan?
I have gone Daisy Pearce 3, but first off, Erin Phillips again just keeps going about her work. 18 touches and a goal on the weekend. They actually looked a little bit, under siege at one stage. The Crows, Freo were up and about, but of course, they only turn up for 1 or 2 quarters a game.
Sounds like the Freo on the men's team.
Yeah, that is
Minus the
very
1 or
true.
2 quarters.
Yeah, exactly.
I gave my 2 to Sab Frederick Traub, who was actually named one of the rising stars this weekend, along with Jessie Grierson. 6 marks, I think about 3 or 4 contested. Just was a real barometer in the ruck and forward, and dobbed a goal herself for the Lions. 3 votes, so has to go to Daisy Pearce. Racked up 239 Supercoach, which we absolutely
In
love
an
as
hour.
Fair
as
outing.
fantasy
In an hour of football.
fantasy
Yeah,
fellas. And it was just everywhere. You'd see her in attack, booting the ball inside 50, and then next minute she's taking inset mark in defence. It was just a stunning performance. How do you see it, Samuel?
To be honest with you, I've actually gone pretty similar to you because great minds think alike. But I've
All
started
fools
off
stick
with
together.
I started off with 1 vote to Ali Blackburn. I watched her a couple of weeks ago. She was a bit quiet for the first few games of the season, but in the last 2 or 3 weeks, she's really impressed me. She's got a lot of pace, got a lot of run, and she's once again had 19 touches and a goal in a losing side, which I think is very impressive. 2 votes have gone Frederick Traub as well as Dan. 13 touches, was really good in the ruck, dominated the ruck, kicked a goal, and her marking ability, contested marks, along with Taylor Harris, they're working really well together. That's pretty formidable.
Forward,
Forward line.
100%.
That's a very formidable forward line. And then 3 votes, Daisy Pearce. Don't need to say anything. 3 votes.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Don't need to say anything more. What about you, Benno?
I've gone 1 vote, Frederick Traub. I mean, it's a pretty complete game from a forward. A goal, 13 disposals, 6 marks, 8 hitouts. In a Brisbane team that is surprising everyone and did run over the top of GWS pretty heavily, I've given her 1 vote. 2 votes Paxman. I mean, that duo of Paxman and Pearce, who I've gone 3 votes for, as usual.
Everyone definitely missed the Daisy Pearce memo
Yeah.
for this week.
We just have a
I think it was
template.
just Lucy. It was
I feel like
exclusive
Lucy said
there.
it to herself and expected us to know it.
Well,
Wait-
I'm
yeah.
the executive producer, so maybe I need to
There we
start
go.
lying.
There we go. Name dropping the title.
Oh.
If it's not, naming players that she knows, it's just naming.
Just talking
Her
about
status.
how generally excellent I am myself,
Well, at least someone says it.
Yeah, exactly. Who's going to be your biggest supporter if you're not, You've got to be your own biggest
I
supporter.
was explaining my vote.
Yeah, sorry, Ben. Sorry.
It's all me.
Like
You,
that
Benno. It's
ad.
all about you, isn't it? You always have to have.
Yeah, so 2 votes Paxman. I mean, she's getting so many touches each week, just setting it up. 18 kicks, 6 handballs. I mean, what more could you want from a midfielder? And 3 votes Pearce. I mean, at this stage, she's almost a lock for the best and fairest, I reckon. Just, she is the face of women's football to an extent, and you could not knock that at all. I mean, it's insane the performances she's putting in, week out, and without her, I reckon Melbourne would be a bottom 2 side because they're struggling even with Pearce and Paxman. So I think it would get messy without them. But yeah, 3 votes Pearce.
Did you say Melbourne's struggling?
I think a little
They're
bit. Yeah.
third on the ladder.
They're third on the ladder.
Yeah,
The
but
only
they're all-
loss was by about a goal, Ben. I think you've.
All right, that's
you've
true.
missed
Yeah.
the memo.
Yeah.
Weren't they 5th last week?
Yeah, but now they're third.
No, but
they've
now
jumped
they're
up
third.
because Carlton lost.
That's how ladders work,
to
though,
Lucy's
normally.
Dismay.
Yeah, we don't
That is
talk
true.
about that.
And Carlton are playing on
Saturday morning.
Tomorrow.
Saturday morning, yeah, against
There's
the
a game
Doggies.
on tonight, yeah.
Yeah,
There is
Melbourne
too.
plays GWS tonight, so that starts off the round, which I think you probably will say that Melbourne will win this game.
Even though they're struggling, apparently.
Yeah.
Just a little talking point there. It's actually a doubleheader for the JLT with this one before. Starts at 5:05 out in Blacktown. It's a little bit hard for everyone to sort of get out there. People from school going after school and that after
Also,
work.
because remember, Blacktown's a long way from Sydney.
Yeah,
it's actually a long way.
Like
so
there's
I mean,
been a little bit of talk. There's just just.
do you reckon
poor
the fixture
scheduling
was?
from
Do you reckon the
NFL.
fixture was done before they realised how popular?
Yeah,
I think it's
it
another
probably
case
was.
of.
I think a lot of games have been scheduled before they
Yeah.
realise how popular it'd be, to be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is the JLT game being played there as well?
Yeah, it's after.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's after.
I think the good thing about this though is that we're having the discussion that it's the wrong time to be playing
Yeah,
it.
absolutely.
The fact that we're having the discussion is probably just
Yeah.
as good. To be honest with you.
So yeah, so that game's on tonight, and then the round continues with all 3 other games of the round tomorrow. So you got Carlton Dogs tomorrow morning. Carlton returns to Icon Park, which I have spoken to a few of the girls, and we're all very excited about the return to Icon
We're
Park.
not going to get Lucy's tip there. What are your thoughts, Benno, on that one? Who's going to get the chocolates?
I think probably Carlton by a goal and Lucy to come in next Friday and have dropped about 10 names.
Well, I'm predicting a pretty quiet Lucy on Monday and Friday because I reckon the Bulldogs will get up by a couple of goals. I just, Blues midfield is a little bit, it was, overrun by Daisy Pearce and Paxman. And when, the Bulldogs have Carney and Blackburn in there, I'm not sure they're going to win many clearances. So, yeah, Doggies.
Kirsty Lamb is also one for Carlton to be looking out for. She kicked 2 goals last week, and I've heard Shay Audley, who plays for Carlton, continually the last week at training be like to our coach, we have to watch out for Kirsty Lamb. We have to watch out for Kirsty Lamb. So hopefully...
Exclusive.
Carlton, exclusive. So hopefully...
What a scoop.
I know, right? So hopefully Carlton can keep her down as well as shutting down ball magnets, Ali Blackburn and Carney. But then the round will continue with Dockers versus Collingwood in Fremantle.
What are we thinking here?
Fremantle yet to win a game?
Yet to win
Yeah,
a game.
yet to win a game.
They've
Collingwood
drawn
got-
a game. But
Collingwood
haven't
got
won
their first last week, so it's
Yeah.
a bit of a cellar dweller match, this one. What are we thinking?
Yeah.
And Collingwood have finally realised that you can kick goals without kicking it to Moana Hope.
Yeah, wow. It's
So hopefully they continue that line of
are
ideas.
you sure, Lucy?
yeah.
I'm pretty
no
sure.
way,
Like,
surely
I
Like-
know, right? Moana Hope isn't the only person for Carlton.
Kick ball into forward line, not to hope.
Yeah. That was just capital
Mind-blowing.
letters on the team's whiteboard before the game. Sorry, Mo, but yeah. But another interesting point about the whole Moana Hope thing is, did any of you guys see the piece in The Age last week about her?
Actually missed it, no.
There was some sort of.
There was a big piece in The Age last week that was holding her sort of to scrutiny. And Daisy Pearce has also had a weekly column in The Age as well. And she has come out this week and sort of talked about how that extra scrutiny that they're being put under, and how the extra scrutiny is good because it means that the girls are being held to high
account,
expectations.
I
And they
agree.
should, and that it means that people are taking them seriously, but people also need to remember the conditions that these girls are playing under.
Yeah.
That Moana Hope is not an elite forward like Buddy Franklin, but she's more an elite forward like you would have seen in the 90s, where they're still working full time and training a couple of times a week. So
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's good though, because that sort of shows because all the men are up to that sort of scrutiny every week because people really care about the men's competition, and I think that's pretty good that the women are being held to that kind of thing because it shows people care,
yeah, exactly.
and that's what you want. And so, what are we thinking in this one, fellas? We're thinking Fremantle, Collingwood.
I'm thinking the Pies by a couple of goals. And just want to mention briefly, Kate Sheen, real sad.
That
First
was.
first couple of minutes into
First
the game.
contest,
First
wasn't it?
contest
Yeah.
she went to. Did her ACL and probably 35 years old is unlikely to be drafted or picked by anyone again. So it is really sad. But she did her father proud, she said, which was
Yeah, it's
really
interesting.
good
I
to hear.
spoke, and you're all going to bloody be like, name drop again. But I did an assessment last week and was lucky, last year, and was lucky enough to speak to Mike Sheen on the phone for like an hour or so just about what I was doing. And he mentioned his daughter Kate and how she had sort of missed out on the opportunity to ever have played, and was sort of saying, she had to play tennis because she couldn't play football. So I can only imagine how proud he must have been of her to have been picked for Collingwood, and then to see her out on the field last week. So now I can only imagine how heartbroken he must be that this dream is sort of over for her now. But unfortunately, it's the way that footy goes.
I was reading a piece where she was speaking about it pretty candidly, and she's like, I was worried that I was just going to get a game in round 7 as a bit of a throwaway thing.
Yeah.
So to get picked in round 4 was good for her. Because but now she's like, well, I've got to face reality. I'm 35. I've just done my ACL. It's unlikely I'm going to play again. And it must be kind of confronting to realise that. I mean, for a lot of these girls, they are young. They've got opportunities to come back. Yeah. But then we're hearing stories like this. I think McIntosh is like 37.
Yeah.
So
Meg Hutchins is 35, I think, as well, who plays for Collingwood as well. Yeah, so
it's kind of confronting.
It is, yeah.
But I mean, at least for Kate, she's got a media career there. I mean, like, she's already done commentary for Fox Sports throughout the AFLW, and I think she's going to continue doing that. She's done a pretty, sterling job in that. Yeah. So, she's going to be involved in the competition no matter if she's on the field or, commentating. And
as she said, we did it. That's what she said about her and her father. So that was really, really nice. But still, very, very, very upsetting for her. But
we went real off track there. But back to the game itself. What do you reckon, Lucy? Who's going to win this one?
This one, I think Collingwood will win it. But I do think the Dockers at home will be a bit of a force. And I think they're at home. They lost at home last week as well. So I think they have something to prove. I think that's what's going to happen there. Yeah. And then the final game of
the round.
Definitely,
Game of the round.
Is Adelaide versus Brisbane in Adelaide. And as we said, grand final preview. Quickly, what do we all think?
Wow, we're all just...
I'm
torn on this one, I think.
I think you've got to go... You've got to go to Adelaide, I reckon. Yeah. Adelaide by a goal, but it's a real coin flip.
It's interesting, though, this one. Brisbane are, I think, defensively the strongest team in the competition. They've only conceded, 10 goals or something like that, 65 points or something like that. Adelaide are one of the best attacking teams in the league, so it could be interesting sort of defence versus attack here. So what do we think? Who do we think is going to win the midfield? Do we think the midfield battle is going to be the one to win here, or are we thinking it's sort of how well Adelaide can tame?
Brisbane don't have a particularly strong midfield, but they've shown, with Captain Zilke and a couple of others just stepping up to the plate,
very effective
Kate
when they get
Ashmore,
the ball. Yeah.
And even Frederick Traub when she's been in there. I don't know. I can see Brisbane getting a win here. I really hope they do, because they were the big upset of the round. But yeah, I'm tipping the Brisbane Lions for under a goal.
Just to play devil's advocate for a second, Brisbane they've played GWS, Fremantle, Collingwood, and Melbourne. Apart from Melbourne, I mean, those would be I would argue, the three worst sides. Is it possible that Brisbane get found out a little bit here?
I think it could potentially happen. I mean, Brisbane's been really impressive. I really like what they've done.
I don't want to take that away from them. But you can only play the opposition put in front of you. But I think it is something that we need to consider.
I think it'll be about a goal. I think so. But I think if we find flaws with Brisbane, it'll be this round. Yeah, that will be interesting. And going from there will be interesting to see how other teams go about playing them.
And conversely, if they win this game, then
I think conversely, if they win this game, then the competition knows that they're by far one of the best teams. But we're going to go to a song now.
This is Big Scary with The Opposite of Us, and you're listening to the Sports Desk on SYN 90.7 FM.
kisses are counting time to the next one. This time we're under the sheets and really, baby, I wanna make something else, something new, something different, something with you. You know my heart feels love when you turn the heat up. Sometimes we're missing the man when it's time to stand up. I feel the pressure like I hear music. I'm only doing the best I can, the best I can. I am trying the best I can. With nobody else left to call, with nobody else left at all. So when you finally back down, get your back up off the wall. What else is there left to know? It wasn't us 4 months ago. To somebody back down, body back down from the show. This time we'll come up for love. This time we'll come up for love. You say that you want my love, then I'm a believer. You reach your hand out to me, then I'm gonna hold it. You fill my eyes with your smiles, my brain with your chemicals. I forgot to say, let's just say something dumb. Oh, lover, don't you fake it. Oh, lover, won't you figure it out? With nobody else left to call, with nobody else left at all. So when you finally back down, get your back up off the wall. What else is there left to know? It wasn't us 4 years ago. Till somebody stood up, picked ourselves up off the floor. This time we'll come up for love. This time we'll come up for love.
And that was Big Scary with The Opposite of Us off one of the best albums of 2016. And this is the Sports Desk on Sin 90.7. We're now going to turn our attention to the A-League, and we obviously have our resident A-League expert,
Samuel.
Curtis. And
Taking it for himself.
tonight is when I was a fan of the A-League. I
Yeah.
still am a fan of the
When I
A-League.
was.
When I
But
was.
I used to be a
Yeah,
Melbourne
you-
Victory member
Yeah.
long before they introduced Melbourne City. And the Melbourne Victory v Sydney FC Derby was one of the biggest games of
Yeah.
the season. So tonight is a
For sure,
exciting
yeah.
time.
Well, I think we mentioned this right back at the start of Sports Desk for this season when Victory played City. That Victory derbies have kind of dropped off a little bit only because of Western Sydney coming along and Western Sydney being an actual thing now. But
With actual active support.
Yeah.
We won't go into that one.
It's to soon be gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Victory Sydney's big. It's one of the original derbies of the league. It's a geographical thing as well. I think
Yeah.
there's always been that Melbourne and Sydney rivalry.
Whereas it's like, yeah.
But I just want to quickly touch on the A-League clubs' performance in the ACL over the week. So we had 3 clubs playing in Asia, and we lost. Western Sydney, lost 5-1. Brisbane lost 6-0, and Adelaide lost 2-1. And it's been described by Mark Bosnich, Bozza, our favourite, and as like the darkest day in Australian club football.
Ooh.
which is a big call.
Yeah.
It is a big call.
But I mean, to be fair, historically, Australian teams haven't done that well in Asia, even though
Apart from
Sydney,
Western Sydney,
who
yeah.
won it
That was
like 2
crazy.
years ago, we can't believe. But yeah, it's just kind of caught into place the A-League standard and its place in Asia as an actual proper competition. But
For
I mean,
those who don't know, Sam, what is the ACL?
So the ACL is the Champions League. It's like just the best clubs in Asia. It's kind of like the UEFA Champions League in Europe. It's exactly the
But
same.
obviously on
but
the same skill level. So-
Obviously no. Obviously the same. Obviously a much worse skill level.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's just kind of showing that the gulf between A-League clubs and Asian clubs, and that we're still not there.
But I mean, it
the
is in a
standard.
pretty difficult time of the year for us. Like,
Yeah, we
for
can't-
A-League teams.
yeah,
like, it's
'cause
sort
so-
of back end of the year.
Yeah, so the Champions League normally matches your domestic season, but not for the A-League, because the A-League's... So we're coming to the second half of the season. The three clubs that are competing are actually three of the not as strong clubs.
And
league.
when Western Sydney won it, they were around the bottom of the A-League.
Yeah, they were around the bottom
because
because they completely forgot about the R-League to go
Yeah,
to Europe.
exactly. It's
But we'll
just-
move on to the Big Blue now. It's victory versus Sydney tonight.
One
It's
versus two. It's
like
a big
the
one.
AFLW, it could well be a grand final preview.
Yeah.
And could decide pretty much the premiership. If Victory want to win the league, they're 8 points behind at the moment. They need to win tonight. As simple as that. And they've got to do it in Sydney, which is going to be real tough. They haven't beaten Sydney all season. Sydney have just been one of the best teams, like the standout of the league.
Only lost one game. haven't they?
Yeah,
20
that's
unbeaten
right.
games in a row.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's very impressive. And it's a league shot too. And it's gonna be a high scoring match. Sydney like to sit back and counter, but they're really good at doing that. They're the top scorer in the league. Their front four of Bobo, Horsko, Brosk, and Ninkovic have just been as tight a unit as you could get playing up front. They've just been given the ball and they've been expected to do, from not many opportunities, do quite a lot, and they've done it pretty well. Victory's front three, they're pretty impressive. And if Barisha scores 2 tonight, he becomes the first man to score 100 goals.
Oh, really?
In the A-League, yeah. First.
Wow.
And
How many games did he play?
he's played about 150 odd. His first goal was against Sydney, in Sydney, back in 2011,
Where
12,
were you?
when he was
I didn't
playing
realise
for
he'd been
Brisbane.
playing that long.
Yeah,
Wow,
well, he
that's-
was pretty instrumental when Brisbane won the league those couple of seasons ago, twice in a row. And the main thing for Victory is they have back Fahid Ben Khalfala, who's been on a bit of contract talk. They want to. There's been talk they want to get rid of him, but there's a trigger in his clause so that if he plays a certain amount of games a season, they have to offer him a new contract.
I did
And-
see that.
yeah.
And Muscat is staying very tight.
Been very candid about it, hasn't he?
Mm.
Yeah.
How did he manage to slip that into his contract?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. There's all weird sort of things. We hear weird things in AFL contracts
Yeah.
about like houses and all that sort of stuff, and you
And
know,
Cola.
Cola, yeah,
Bit of
all about
cost of living
Cola.
allowance.
And FBK gets a. If I play this many games, I get another season with you. And in the other Melbourne team that we
That
call
you
City,
don't like.
That-
Yeah, the other one.
the one that I respect equally as much as Victory. They play
Of
Central
course.
Coast. City struggled last week. They lost 3-1 to Sydney. That's a pretty tough ask to play Sydney. But they were also down to 10 men. Manny Muscat made a couple of pretty poor decisions. He's going to miss another week. He was one of those 8 who didn't play a couple of weeks ago, and he's off again. But City are going to win this. To be honest with you, City, they're good. They need a win. They drop down to 4th. If Perth win and Brisbane win, they're down to 5th. They're looking at the barrel of having to play an away elimination final. They need to win this.
Speaking of Perth, we've got another obscure derby
Yeah.
this weekend.
Oh,
Continue our trend of
love it.
obscure derbies in the A-League.
We had
Last
the
week we
F3
had the
last week.
F3 derby. This week we have the distance derby.
The distance.
The distance derby.
Derby.
Wellington play Perth, and you have
I
to
like
go.
that title.
I'm
It's-
sure it'll
it's
be
good.
huge, like a huge crowd. They're
No,
going to get about 2,000
because
for Cake
no one can go to it because it's too far away. It's like I'm pretty sure it's like the longest travel for a domestic competition
Is that
in the
at
world.
Wellington, that one?
In Wellington, yeah,
They-
in Auckland.
They play the Cake team, don't they?
Nah, yeah, normally, but this one's in Auckland, so it's a distance derby, not in
Wow.
either of the cities.
That's fantastic.
Oh my god, that's a long way to travel
It's
for
like
a game.
7-hour flight. Yeah,
That's a long way.
it's a long way. It's like I think
Bit of
it's pretty
jet
sure it's
lag.
like the longest travel for a club
That's
match.
pretty brutal. And
Domestic club.
And
in-
that's the excuse for the Asian Champions League, of course. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean you have to
travel
travel 10.
so far,
You have to travel 10 hours midweek and then come back.
Yeah.
It's a tough
that's
ask.
tough, yeah.
But
But in other soccer news,
Matildas.
far away from home, is the Matildas are in Portugal at the moment for the Algarve Cup. So they've been placed in Group C alongside Sweden, China and the Netherlands, but have unfortunately gone down 1-0 to Sweden in their first game. Sweden, of course, won the World Cup last year, 2 years ago now, surprisingly against the US, and the US were not happy about that result.
Are
So
formidable
They were
lineup.
filthy about that, the US, yeah.
They were honestly filthy about it. But so went down to a good side, and they faced the Netherlands tonight. The Netherlands who defeated China 1-0 in the other Group C match. So could be a very interesting game, considering Matildas have gone down and Netherlands have won one game. Kaya Simon for the Matildas was very good, but it's the defence that has been highlighted as being sort of the weak spot for the Matildas, and Sweden caught them napping in the second half. So hopefully they can turn that around.
Yeah, I
And
Do you
think
want to say something, Ben?
Oh,
No, I agree with you. I mean,
Yeah.
that is a pretty rough group to end up in, I reckon.
yeah,
Mm.
China, the women's Chinese team are very strong,
Yeah.
and so the Netherlands, they're a traditional footballing country.
Yeah. The
Just-
Chinese denied us the opportunity to play in a World Cup a few years ago. I remember that, yeah. But I think it's also interesting to note that of the probably 20-something players that are in the Matilda squad, only 2 of them don't play soccer in the W League.
yeah, and I mean it's a pretty bit of an indication of how strong women's soccer is in Australia. Probably more than men's when you compare the two. Like
I
on
think
a
I
world
think
scale.
looking upon it, even if you factor in the lack of attention and the lack of exposure that the W League
and
gets,
like the
it's
payment,
and the
it's-
payment's
it is a bit
horrible. It's
ridiculous.
like some players are earning not much more than about $1,000-$2,000 for their efforts for the whole
Yeah,
season.
for the whole season.
For the whole
That's,
season, not per
that's
game.
honestly ridiculous.
It's
There's-
honestly ridiculous.
There's blokes playing state football in Victoria
Yeah,
that are
or
getting that are,
earning-
that are
yeah.
earning
2,000
more
a
earning that a
game.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
earn that easily a game. I think that's a good thing for the W League that they have that quality. And we were talking a couple of weeks ago about maybe they need a rebrand of it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
something like that. But
And
the
they
good thing
have-
is they have the quality to back it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they do have a payment deal. I think it was about a week or 2
Yeah,
ago.
they've
There was-
announced the Players Association has announced sort of like a plan to get 60 at 60,000. So the 60 best players will be offered, hopefully offered 60,000 contracts. But included in that is also trying to up like medical facilities and things like
And,
that,
like,
which the W League does not have
I think
any
Yeah.
of.
and we look at the AFLW how well they've treated their players.
Yeah,
It kind of again another thing that the AFLW is highlighting is how poorly women's sport has been sort of treated. I think in general.
and also how well you can actually do
Yeah,
it if
and
you
how
pay
much
the
attention you can get
Yeah.
on a
Yeah.
Exactly.
national scale.
But we're going to go to a song now. This is Alex Leahy with Wes Anderson and you're listening to Sports Desk on SYN 90.7 FM.
Welcome back to the Sports Desk on SYN 90.7 FM. That was Alex Leahy with Wes Anderson. Now we're going to turn ourselves away from sort of sports that have been happening and results and turn some attention to boys behaving badly. And of course, it is Australia's not-so-favourite sons, Tomic and Kyrgios.
Tomic's the one I really want to get to. He's retired a match that was 28 degrees. Where were they playing?
In Mexico
In
somewhere.
Mexico. You look, it was 28 degrees today. I was considering not coming into the radio show.
Really? Are you feeling all right?
Yeah, I don't know.
If we
I've
weren't
got
allowed
a
water in the
little
studio,
bit
I'd
of,
give you some water now.
Yeah,
But it smacks of being it
being
wasn't
a
the
tosser,
heat.
doesn't it?
It wasn't the heat. I don't think it's fooling anyone when we just say it wasn't
Well,
the
I
heat.
don't think you can say it was the heat when you come out 3 hours later to play a doubles match.
Also,
Either.
because he's
That's even worse.
also because
Yeah.
he's an Aussie.
Yeah,
And, like,
exactly. It's
That's
like-
like
He lives in
every
the
day.
Gold Coast, so
I've heard it's not
And
that
he
hot
plays
there.
Australian
Oh.
Open. Like,
it's
Lucy.
freezing out there.
You got to wear a jumper when
Well,
you're in
when
the
you
Gold
say
Coast.
play Australian Open, he plays some of
he
it.
plays, first couple of rounds.
Yeah.
But it leads into a pretty, actually quite an interesting discussion though, doesn't it, about our male tennis players, and they never seem to be doing anything right. I don't want to like just have a go at them, but we have to question. I mean, Kyrgios is 17th in the world. He doesn't act like a 17th in the world player.
No.
Plays
Tomic's dropping
basketball
off.
half the time.
You
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
attack, which has been in the news this week, attack fans and your opponent.
And he was having a go
Yeah.
at also in Mexico. Kyrgios was having a go at the chair umpire, wasn't he? He was calling him biased or something like that. Do we think it's a culture problem within Tennis Australia?
I don't know. I mean, Leighton Hewitt was a bit like that at the start of his career, but he, knuckled down and then, just showed his prowess. Like, there's no doubt Kyrgios has a talent, Tomic as well, to a lesser extent. But it's just whether he can, get a coach that actually, makes him train consistently, ensures his mental side of his game doesn't take over from his obvious talent.
Yeah, I think we're seeing that with if we think back to Gal Monfils, he was kind of the same, and Joe Wilfried Songer. They were both pretty, they were big personalities, and in particular Gal Monfils, he really dropped off for a couple of seasons there because he didn't really have a coach. He wasn't really sort of there was no one really pushing him. I don't think he was having the same kind of bad boy image.
But I think this behaviour sort of is a cultural problem within Australia, Tennis Australia, because if they think they can just keep getting away with it, then why would you not? Why would you stop doing it? Why would you pull your act together if you know that you can get away with doing things like that? And I've seen in the media some sports analysts and journalists have sort of said they need to be banned. They need to be taken away from the game.
Yeah.
So and I think having them being taken away from the game could be really good for them in terms of it'll either make them be like, oh, well, actually, I do really want to play, or they'll be like, this is a good decision. I need to step away from the game for longer.
I think the other thing is that we get really hung up on everything they do. Whereas if we just said, we don't care. We literally, that's if you want to be like that, fine. We don't really care. That would probably, cut the oxygen off.
And so I think the Tomic and Kyrgios problem is going to remain a problem for a while.
Yeah.
Until Tennis Australia steps in, or until either of them get a coach that can put them on track.
Or until the media stops covering them so much.
True.
Us.
But I mean, it's gonna.
Yeah.
Well,
part of the
really
problem.
stop.
Well, yeah, exactly. But I think that is a fair point, that if you get told you're good enough times, it goes to your head.
Goes
Oh,
to your
for
head.
sure,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And I think Kyrgios has proved, especially with those haircuts, that he has a bit of an ego.
Fashion.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like
Fashion.
Benno across from me.
But yeah, so that's unfortunately all we have time for today on the Sports Desk. But before we go, we just want to quickly wrap up with some news on the NBL. The Australia's obviously National Basketball League. The Grand Final series has been underway the last week. 2 games of the 5-game series has been played, with Perth coming out on top 89-77 in both games. So they could possibly make it a whitewash on Sunday, going 3-0 against Illawarra. And the first ever Super Netball doubleheader is on at Hisense Arena tomorrow. So if you're free, go down and watch some netball.
Get down there.
Get down there.
Yeah,
So
for
there'll
sure.
be 2 huge games. Magpies v Giants. So 2
there
of
we
the
go, the
football
AFL
franchises
Yeah.
playing off against one another, followed by the Vixens versus New South Wales Swifts, 2 veterans of Netball Australia.
For more high-profile clubs as well, yeah.
Exactly. So another big weekend of sport coming up. Thank you so much for joining us.
Enjoy it, fam.
Today on the Sports Desk,
Sports
Sin
no.
90.7 FM. And
Where can people find us on Facebook?
you can find us on Facebook. Just search the Sports Desk in your search bar and we will come up. And we put our shows, if you've missed them, on there. Also our AFLW votes will be on there, and just generally some other great Sports Desk news.
And stuff,
Updated by yours truly. Yeah.
Well,
Thanks
the
for that,
EP.
Lucy.
That's
Thanks for
okay.
And stay tuned for Schools on Air on Sin 90.7 FM.
Thanks for listening.